After Bo Bichette's recent controversial comments where he said he would welcome a trade, the Blue Jays have found themselves stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do you hold on to your shortstop and hope that he bounces back next year, or do you read the writing on the wall and trade Bo Bichette before this deadline? Whether it happens sooner or later, it feels like Bo Bichette is ready to move on from the Blue Jays, and if other teams come knocking, then a Bo Bichette trade might be right around the corner. But the question is, what teams would actually come knocking for an injured and struggling Bo Bichette? What's up, guys, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today. In this one, we're going to be looking at 3 teams that would happily trade for Bo Bichette either before the deadline or this upcoming winter. Before we get into it, though, I encourage you to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today if you enjoy Blue Jays news and content. All right, folks, let's get into the video. Number 3 on this list is the Seattle Mariners. As of recording this video, the Mariners are sinking like a rock in the AL West, and the Houston Astros have now caught up and are tied with them for the division lead. And the biggest problem for the Mariners this season has been their offense that ranks 28th in all of baseball in OPS. And looking at their middle infield, they've got JP Crawford and Jorge Polanco absolutely stinking it up this year. JP Crawford has an OPS of 643 and Jorge Polanco has one of 594. But would adding a struggling Bo Bichette make sense for the Mariners? If you're a team trading for Bo Bichette, you have to be considering the risk involved here that this season might be a complete wash. Maybe he comes back in September for a little playoff push, but what you're trading for is for Bo Bichette to be healthy and to get back to his all-star ways in 2025. And for the Mariners, trading for someone like Bo Bichette might actually solve a lot of their problems. For years, they've been looking to cut down the strikeouts and raise the batting average, and Bo Bichette is known to have a low strikeout rate and, of course, a high batting average. And according to Bleacher Report, the Mariners now have the #1 ranked prospect system in all of baseball, so trading for someone like Bo Bichette at his lowest value wouldn't put a dent in their system at all. The Mariners could easily part ways with one of their 3 top shortstop prospects that all rank in the top 100 in MLB prospects rankings. So making a trade for Bo Bichette would not only make sense for this year, but also for the future of this team. Number 2, the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians have never been a huge buyer at the trade deadline. However, this season is a completely different story. They are currently 5 games ahead of the Minnesota Twins for the AL Central title, and the Twins are rapidly approaching, so the Guard Dogs, they're going to need a little bit of reinforcement. And one of the problems for the Guardians this season has been that shortstop position. Brayan Rocchio is a switch-hitting defensive shortstop, but the offense is not much to be desired. However, you could say that Bo Bichette's offense is not much to be desired, but just like the Seattle Mariners, the Guardians would be hoping for maybe a sort of bounce back this year, but most likely looking at the 2025 year where they will have an even better team in 2025. And if the Guardians are going to make a splash at the deadline, it's going to be for someone like Bo Bichette, whose value has never been lower. Now, the Guardians need to address a lot more issues than just their shortstop position. Their pitching has been pretty bad this year, but now with a 2nd ranked overall prospect system, they could make a trade for pitching and as well Bo Bichette. So if the Guardians are going to make a push, now would be the time.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
And number 1, and you probably guessed it on this list, it is the LA Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers have always been huge buyers at the deadline. There's no surprise there. And it so happens that this year, the Dodgers, they desperately need a shortstop. Right now, they've been splitting time between Miguel Rojas and Enrique Hernandez at the shortstop position. And while Rojas has been pretty good overall this year, in the last 30 days, his OPS has only been 595. And walking into the playoffs with your shortstop hitting like that, the Dodgers would never let that happen. And again, the Dodgers would trade for Bo Bichette knowing the risk that would come this season. They'd be happy to bring him on next year. But let's say you do have Bo Bichette bounce back at the end of 2024 and he's better than Miguel Rojas. Well, that's a huge win for this year. And what would a trade look like for Bo Bichette from the Dodgers system? Well, they don't have the best farm system. It's about a middle tier prospect ranking. However, you could get maybe 2 guys like shortstop Alex Freeland or right-handed pitcher River Ryan. So if the Blue Jays are looking for more than just one top prospect, then they might look at the Dodgers. But all of that being said, guys, there needs to be a market for Bo Bichette this coming trade deadline. If no one's coming knocking for an injured and struggling Bo Bichette, which I completely would understand, then it might not make sense to trade Bo Bichette at this upcoming deadline when his value is so low. But of course, if Bo Bichette is ready to move on from Toronto, then it might make more sense for the Blue Jays to trade Bo Bichette next winter. What teams would be interested in Bo Bichette next winter? Well, that's for another video. But guys, do let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, guys, go Jays go.